Well, hello, hello. It is Sunday night. Do you know where your cat is? Yes. How is everyone on this delicious Sunday night? I hope you are well. I hope you are well. Well, listen, by popular demand, I'm doing this video against my better judgment. No. You guys asked me to do this video, and my glasses. I think I have one ear. Is one ear higher than the other? I believe that's the case. Listen, you folks have been asking a lot about aliens, okay? And as you know, I've steered clear of the aliens. And so tonight, I'm going to give you the full Monty on the aliens, okay? Now, we have different people claiming that they, work for the government or that they have worked for the government, that they are now doing disclosure. People like Lou Elizondo, Grush, etc. They've gone before Senate. They've met in the skiff. They've shown materials, etc. Now, there are people that think that Lou Elizondo is a plant. He's working with Mellon. Mellon is funding it, of Carnegie Mellon. That doesn't make any sense to me, that somebody like Carnegie Mellon, who's a philanthropist, would pour his own money into deliberately attempting to confuse the American people. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Also, Lou Elizondo and his wife lost everything. They ended up having to live in an RV, which is why he wrote a book, so he could get his money back. So again, that doesn't make any sense to me, that he's a plant. Why would you do that to yourself? It just doesn't quite fit. Also, speaking before Congress under oath, privately. There's a lot of things about it. Excuse me. There's a lot of things about this that it doesn't make sense that it would be deceptive. And that is what a lot of researchers have said, like Weinstein and also the researcher out of, I think it's MIT and Harvard, that are studying alien phenomenon. It doesn't make sense that what we're getting back is deceptive information by people in positions of power. I'm going to really deceive you to the point where I'm going to wind up sleeping in my, it just doesn't make sense. Now, when I was asked to remote view some of these craft, they looked like they had been made by human beings. The Tic Tac, I gave you guys information on that. Now it's come out that it is a man-made product. But what it looked to me is like it had an internal turbine or an internal fan, and that the movement of the fan was causing the projection. And it's really cool because you can't see anything on the outside, but there's this internal fan that's sucking air in that's causing the propulsion of the Tic Tac. So I thought that was interesting as a remote viewer. To be able to see that and say, I don't think this is alien. Excuse me. I don't think this is alien. This looks like it's man-made. The other thing that I've been picking up is that we have a lot of military drones, some of which can go extremely high, 40, 50, 60, even 70,000 feet. We're talking about Star Wars. So if somebody comes out and sees something like that, and the United States government doesn't want to let their enemies know what kind of drone technology we have, then that would be a problem. Sometimes drones are collecting information on cities. Some of the diamond-shaped drones may have been military drones. Um, One of the biggest questions I get from you guys is, are the aliens going to save us? I have no idea. So I thought it would be fun on a Sunday night. We're going to go ahead. We're going to try and use the cards to the best of our ability to see if I can get some information for you on those questions. Is it real? I am inclined to think that some of it's real and some of it's fake. Like some of it is real and some of it's just people with crazy imagination. So I think it's a combination. But the fact that it's a combination should be terrifying because it means there's these other things flying around and we don't know what they are, or if they've always been here on Earth, if maybe they started off here on Earth, and or if they came from somewhere else. They came from planet Claire, or who knows? Why do I have that dark spot here? I'm trying to work out my lighting here. What's that dark spot? How bizarre! How bizarre! How bizarre! I don't know. It's all a mystery, really. Let's go ahead. We'll do the empath's prayer and let's see if we can find out some information about UFOs, aliens, alien species. We're going to remote view it. We're going to use the cards as a target using HCRV, short or quick technique. And let's see what we find out. All right, sound good? Quick technique is when you go into a semi-trance state, you connect with your gut, you connect with your higher chakras, your sixth, etc., and you try to see what opens up or what gets triggered by the images you see in front of you. All right, let's do it. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. So the first thing I'm feeling when I go into this energy is I'm feeling William Shatner coming in, and he is still alive. So it's kind of interesting that when I went into this meditation and said the empath's prayer and I saw the stars, I had the image of this guy with this nice hair. And I thought, God, that guy looks kind of familiar. And then as I continued to say the prayer, I realized that I was looking at William Shatner. Of course, William Shatner did get to orbit the Earth in the blue whatever by Jeff Bezos. Excuse me. And he said, here on Earth is life and out there is death. And it's really profound what he was saying, that instead of going out there and looking for life and all these answers, we have completely abandoned the one place where we know 100% there is life, and that is right here on Earth. And that it's horrifying to think that we could lose all of this because he just saw a black void of death. He didn't see anything else. And just this little beacon in an endless universe, an endless beacon, a small beacon of hope in an endless universe that is Earth, the rarity of life here on Earth, and how sad and unfortunate it is that we don't cherish our lives more, the lives of others, and this world more. And so it's interesting, think about him, Star Trek. He kissed so many aliens, right? He kissed a lot of aliens. But to have the first energy that I connect with as a remote viewer be William Shatner, and now he's getting up in age. and to have that message, that call that he is making to all of us, save what we already have. Not to be chasing after that so much and instead focus on the here and now. Regarding the issue of, are there aliens? Is it all in our head? Is it what's out there? Lou Elizondo had talked about the fact that there are two camps. There are two camps. One is believing that these are aliens, and then another camp that believes that these are demons from hell, right? And that this is not we're not being visited from another planet. We're being visited by fallen angels, right? And so there is this Christian evangelical fear of these things in the Pentagon, right? That we don't need to explore it. We need to suppress this. This is something. This is the devil. So you have, interesting, it's Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands, we could be seeing a desire not for exposure, but a desire by the United States government to keep this thing under wraps. She is territorial. This is an energy of America as territorial, almost like war. She is going to push her agenda. So the fact that, if you're just asking about is exposure going to happen now, I would say that a lot is happening to make sure exposure does not happen. It's this guarding of the gates territory over the issue of the higher ethos. Here is the interesting fear. Here is the interesting fear by the powers that be. And it speaks to what Lou Elizondo is saying, and I don't believe he's lying. I think he's telling the truth, just based on these cards and the information that I'm getting. When Lou Elizondo talks about a conflict with people in the Pentagon who don't want this information to come out, people who believe that maybe aliens are demons, fallen angels, when you go into this remote, what you see is dogma and higher ethos. But more than that, and this is the deeper point that Lou Elizondo wants you to see and hear, we cannot control people with religion the way we used to if this comes out. So people in positions of power that want to use the church or religious beliefs in order to control the people are going to have a real hard time controlling the masses if this comes out, because it contradicts some of the religious teachings that the churches have been presenting. Does that make sense? So say we all got invaded by aliens, then everybody, well, what about Jesus? Are they getting saved? I mean, all of these questions start to emerge, and then we have a collapse of Christianity. We have a collapse of fundamentalist religion, and fundamentalist or organized religion keeps people organized and controlled and law and order. And so what the deeper fear here from the Pentagon appears to be that all hell will break loose and we will lose our moral compass. People will begin to believe that none of this stuff makes any sense. There is no God. We're being invaded by aliens from Alpha Centauri. We can go ahead and do whatever we want because the structure is faulty. We don't have to hold on to the higher ethos. And so we have this Queen of Wands, and she's passionately protecting the ethos. So the reason they don't want the information to come out is because it could be the collapse of the church. It could be the collapse of the things that hold us together. A desire to control things so that things remain organized, right? The economic benefits. It's interesting also that the King of Pentacles, he keeps secrets or he keeps things close to himself, often financial. They have a vested interest in not to let people know certain things. It's about taking control of the narrative and being able to control people, like the narrative of the church, the narrative of what people are supposed to believe. And then when they lose that narrative, uh, they will no longer be able to control the people. There are people fighting for disclosure. Three of Pentacles would be evidence, right? It's the blueprint. It's when somebody shows the blueprint or the foundation for the issue. And you can see it's like going to court and saying, but it's so obvious. Why won't you take a look at the data? It's so obvious that this crime has been committed. And they refuse to look and they just throw everything in the trash, right? The heart is hardened. You have this Three of Swords over the issue of the evidence being presented. Nine of Wands. I feel as a remote viewer, just when glimpsing this information, that they're afraid all hell's going to break loose and that they won't be able to control the masses, and that that the churches will collapse. Why? How can you go to church and believe all of those things when when you are dealing with aliens, right? Um, you also have this fear and stress over it. I just feel this fear and stress over the fact that the governments cannot control the narrative. That's the best way for me to describe it. It just feels to me like it's not. There are false flags, For example, they're developing holograms, which are incredible. They look like fake things, and you go chasing after them, and it's just a phantom that's being different drones can shine lights if you do a 90-degree angle and the light catches it the right way, you can create what looks like a three-dimensional hologram. So the Chinese and the Americans are experimenting with the construction of holograms. So theoretically, you'd have, you know, you could create the delusion of 100 planes coming at you when it's only one plane coming at you, and the other 99 are ghost planes. Like this is what we're learning with experimenting with holograms. So sometimes when people see these strange big lights in the sky that are dancing, and they think it's an alien, it could be a military experiment on seeing what structures that they can create with drones, etc., and holographs for eventually being used in military combat. So that's one of the things that we've seen, is that it's exciting that it looks like a real three-dimensional thing, and it's just lights coming at different angles from drones, producing these bizarre shaped things that look real. But it would cause you to scramble a bunch of planes that would go chasing after them, and then you just turn the lights off, and then it's gone. Um, so that's kind of interesting. What's interesting also here is that these are military cards, like in this, or war cards that have to do with almost we know that false information comes out. Like they will deliberately try to confuse the American people into thinking that the holograms are alien things, when they're really just because they don't want people to know they're experimenting with making drones, right? So until it takes a while before the public finds out what's going on. But then there's the real story, which is that there really are phenomenon going on, like the Travis Walton, is that his name? That was a real case, right? So you have this looks to me like, if they are putting disinformation out, it's to make people look silly and ridiculous so that they will be dismissed. It's not because it isn't real. They may be trying to discredit certain people for fear it will be taken seriously. Mhm. For fear that they will lose control of the narrative. In answer to the question, well, will something happen that requires some kind of intervention or something like that? No, I don't see that. I don't see any kind of intervention. Instead, this is more about us taking control over the challenges of the human experience, war, violence, etc., conflicts with others, and attempting to heal differences. Those differences don't go away overnight. We can't expect, for example, Pakistan and India to start loving on each other just because we want it to be true. The healing begins. We see this power in healing coming to the world, communication, Six of Pentacles, what is fair, people willing to come together to do what is fair. But I don't see in these cards any indication that aliens are going to save us. That's not what the cards are saying. Rather, the cards are saying that there is a battle, certainly within the intelligence agencies, not to release certain information for fear that they will lose control of the narrative and that people will stop believing in the church, and it will be a loss of power of the church, and that it would also lead to the erosion of civilization if nobody believed in anything anymore as a result of this. That's a real fear you see in these cards regarding the Pentagon. Will there be disclosure? Will it eventually happen? Yes, I think so, because uh, gaining control and healing and a new contract coming in, this desire to cover it up, the Queen of Wands is standing there blocking the door. A feeling of the Hierophant that, they're going to, the church will fall, or, uh, the American people are intelligent enough to handle it. I like the fact that it ends the reading with the Page of Cups, which would indicate a healing for all of us. So no, the aliens don't save us, we save ourselves. And disclosure happens because the evidence becomes so uh, it's irrefutable that it comes to be accepted. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching this quick video on aliens and contact. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I answered all the questions you had about it. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, remote viewing, or a medical consult, find the information below. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out, and we will see you next time, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.